Hi everyone, welcome back to our series of discussion about the statics of rigid bodies. In today's discussion, we shall have sample problem on the moment of force system in space, as well as the moment of a force about a line of specified directions. Kaya minsan pa guys ay samahan niyo ako dito sa ating series of discussions by subscribing to this channel and clicking the notification bell so that whenever I have new uploads, you will be notified of it. So, puntahan natin guys ang ating problem. Here is the problem, guys. And this problem is an application of the vectorial approach in solving moments of a force about a specified direction. The problem states that a force F is a 300 Newton force that is directed from A at point 2, 1, negative 4 to B at negative 2, 3, and negative 1. And from here, we are required to solve for the moment of F about the origin. We are also required to determine the magnitude and direction of the axis of rotation expressed in terms of the angle that the axis makes with respect to the x, to the y, and to the z axis. Second, we are also required to find for the moment of F about C at point 3, negative 1 and 3, and we are also required to determine the magnitude and direction of the axis of rotation expressed in terms of the angle that this axis makes with an axis that are parallel to x, y, and z axis. And the later part of this presentation, we are also required to find for the moment of F about an axis passing through the origin and the point C. So for us to be able to easily solve the problem, maybe it will help us if we shall be able to show these points on space so that we shall be able to understand how the force is directed and how it will create a turning effect about an axis. And so, let us imagine that we have here our three mutually perpendicular axes defined by this x-axis, okay, the y-axis where this one is our positive y-axis, and the z-axis where this is the direction of the positive z-axis. At this point, we call this as our origin, whose coordinate is at 0, 0, and 0. Point A, as indicated in the problem, which is at 2, 1, and negative 4, can be established on space by moving 2 towards 2 to the positive x-axis, okay, 1 towards the positive y-axis, and 4 towards the negative z-axis. And then at the end of this point, we have the point A, whose coordinate is at 2, 1, and negative 4. This point B, okay, whose coordinate is at negative 2, 3, and 1, can be located by moving 2 towards the negative x-axis, 3 towards the positive y-axis, and 1 towards the negative z-axis, so that the end of that point will indicate the position of point B, whose coordinate is at negative 2, 3, and 1. And so from these 2 points, there is actually a force that runs from A to B, whose magnitude is 300 Newton. And the third point that we are supposed to locate is the point C, whose coordinate is at 3, negative 1, and 3. So that is running 3 towards the x, 1 towards the negative y, and then 3 towards the positive z-axis. So that this point shall be our point whose coordinate is at 3, negative 1, and 3. Now let us try to imagine, going back to the definition of moment, which is expressed in vectorial notation. We say that moment is defined as the cross product between the position vector of any point along the direction of the force from the axis of rotation and the force expressed as a vector. And in symbol, we write moment as the moment of the force about any point shall be equal to R cross F, where here R represents what? represents either, okay, the position vector of the point, okay, along the direction of the force, which is either point A or point B, okay, from, okay, the origin or axis of rotation at O, and therefore that is equal to ROA cross F. Or pwede rin ito na maging ROB cross F. So that we are going to write ROA. What is our ROA? It is the position vector of this point from, okay, the axis of rotation at O, and therefore this is our position vector, and we will be calling it as ROA. And by, okay, because we are given the coordinates of point A and point on the origin, therefore the position vector of ROA shall just be equal to 2i, okay, plus 1j minus 4k. Or simply, this becomes, or this represents the coordinate of point A because O is at the origin. Similarly, we can also solve for the position vector of point B, which is equal to the coordinate of this point B because O is 0. And the position vector is defined by this line, whose, okay, vector is defined as ROB. And this will be equal to negative 2i plus 3j minus k. And we can solve for, okay, express the force in terms of vector rotation as the product of the magnitude and the direction of the force. What is the direction of the force? This is the direction of the force directed from A towards B. And so we can have it as the magnitude, which is equal to 300, and the direction representing the difference between, okay, the point A, B and point A, that is equal to negative 2 minus 2i plus the quantity 3 minus 1j plus the quantity 1, k minus negative 4, or simply 1 plus 4k. That is actually the difference between this negative 2 and 2, 3 and 1, negative 1 and negative 4. Divided by the distance between B and A, and that is equal to the square root of, okay, the difference between the same coordinates. That is negative 2 minus 2, 3 minus 1, and negative 1 plus 4 squared. And so when we simplify, okay, our equation or our force shall become equal to 300 multiplied by the square root, the quantity, negative 4i plus 2j plus 3k over the square root of negative 4 square plus 2 square plus 3 square. And if this numerator shall be simplified, this becomes equal to the square root of 29. And so this becomes equal to, okay, 300 over the square root of 29 multiplied by, okay, the quantity 4i plus 2j plus 3k. So yan yung ating magiging, okay, force expressed as a vector. Now we shall be substituting the force and the position in the formula. Okay, therefore our moment shall becomes equal to moment of F about the axis at O, and that's equal to ROA cross F. So pag sinubstitute natin yan, ROA is what? 2i, k plus j minus 4k cross, okay, the quantity 300 over the square root of 29 minus 4i plus 2j plus 3k. Kaya pag ginamitan natin ito ng okay, third order determinants, ano? So ihiwalay natin itong constant na ito. So we write it here, and so the third order determinant shall be equal to yung first, okay, row again is the first element of the determinant, and that is equal to 2, 1, and negative 4. Yung second row naman is the second element of the determinant. This is from here, negative 4, okay, 2, and 3. While the third row is the I, J, and K. So sabi nga, mas mabilis natin ito magagawa kapag ginamit natin extended form of the determinant, that is copying the first two column. Okay, that is 2 and 1, negative 4 and 2, I and j, so that we have here the extended part. And so we can compute for I. Paano ito? By taking the product of this. So let us have it, okay, for I. So we can have it, okay, multiplying downward, okay, the diagonal downward as positive. And so when we have this one, that becomes 3, while this one is positive 8, because negative minus negative, okay, is positive. That is all for I. While for j is this one element. So multiplying 4 and negative 4, that is equal to positive 16. And so we have here, okay, 3 and 2 minus 6 for I. And then for k, so we have here these elements. Multiplying 2 and 2 will be 4. And then multiplying negative 4 and 1 will be negative 4 minus negative. So that is positive. And therefore simplifying, this becomes how much? 300 over the square root of 9. This becomes 11i. While this becomes 10j. And this becomes 8k. So this is now our moment effect of f about O expressed in vectorial notation. So how are we going to solve for the magnitude? So if we wanted to solve for the magnitude of that, solving for the magnitude becomes 300 over the square root of 29 multiplied by the square root of 11 square, just taking the square of this 11 square plus 10 square plus 8 square, and that is equal to 300 over the square root of 29 multiplied by 16.8819. And so simplifying further, this becomes positive 940.4694 Newton meter. And so we can solve also for the direction. The direction will be taken from the components of the moment, that is from 11, 10, and 8. Dividing by the following. That is arc cosine for theta sub x, that is arc cosine of 11 divided by 16.88. And actually this comes from what? Nanggaling siya sa arc cosine of the component in the x direction of the moment divided by the magnitude of the moment. And the x component shall be equal to 300 over the square root of 29 over 11. This one, I'm sorry, dito tayo pumunta. 300 over the square root of 29 multiplied by 11. That is the x component of the moment. While the magnitude of the moment will be 300 over the square root of 29 divided by 16. Kaya pag sinimplify mo, 300 over the square root of 29 will just be cancelled. And what remains is 11 over 16.8819. And that gives us a value of 49.34 degrees. Similarly, we can do the same for the angle of theta sub y. That is the angle that the direction of the axis is making with respect to the y-axis. And this is equal to arc cosine of 10 divided by 11.8819. At pag sinimplify siya, this becomes 53.68. Again, saan ang galing yung 10 over 16.8819? This comes from the x component of the moment. Ito yun, 300 over the square root of 29 multiplied by 10 is the x component. While the magnitude will be 300 over the square root of 29 multiplied by 16.8819. And so yung 300 over the square root of 29 will just cancel each other. Hindi ko na siya pinakita dito to simplify the solution. And for our theta sub c, we do the same. That is, for the x component, we simply look for this divided by this magnitude. And that is arc cosine of 8 over 16.8819. And that gives us 61.71. Ngayon, maganda na may paliwanag natin itong resulting moment and the direction of the axis. Ipakita natin, nasan ba ngayon itong axis of rotation na dumaraan sa O. So from O, ipakita natin itong axis na ito, okay? So this is now the axis of rotation that this F is causing about an axis through O. And this has a magnitude of 940.4694 Newton meter. And how it is directed? Makita natin that it is positive, and therefore it will be following the right-hand thumb principle, that it will be rotating in this manner. Yan yung rotation ng moment natin, because this one is positive. And what about all this angle? This angle that this makes with respect to the positive x-axis. Ipakita natin, So, mag-drawing tayo ng because this is parallel, this is passing through the origin, therefore this actually is the angle that this makes with respect to the x-axis. Ipakita natin ito yung angle na yon. Running from the x towards the axis. While this one, 53.68 is the axis that runs from the y-axis towards the axis of rotation. Makikita natin dito yan. Okay? Ayun. Diba? Samantalang itong 61.71 is the axis or is the angle that runs from the positive z-axis towards this axis of rotation, and this is shown by this direction. And so that's our magnitude as well as the axis of rotation and the direction of the moments created by F about O. Napuntahan naman natin itong second question. Ang sabi dito sa second question, find the moment of F about point C at 3, -1, and 3. And we are also required to determine the magnitude and direction of the axis of rotation expressed in terms of the angle that this makes with respect to an axis that are parallel to the x, to the y, and to the z axis. So makikita natin dito na yung direction will be measured not from the x but from an axis parallel to the x, to the y, and to the z, because the axis of rotation will not pass through the origin. It will pass somewhere at point C. Ito yung point nito. Diba? Kaya kung ating susundan yung solution for the moment of C, again, ganun din yung formula, no? Using the vector relation of the formula, it is the cross product of the position vector RCA cross F. Kaya lamang, tingnan natin, no? Ang yung F ay dumaraan sa point A. Kaya yung position ng A mula sa axis of rotation na C ang ating tinutukoy. Kaya it is now called as RCA. So kung ipakikita natin ito yung position vector ng A mula sa C. Ito yon. Okay? Ito yung part na ito. I'm sorry, nawawala. Ayun. Ito yung part nila, no? Pwede rin naman siyang RCB. Mula dito, papunta doon. Anong mula dito, papunta doon, yung RCB. Kaya, gamitan natin itong RCA coming from the coordinates of point A at yung point C. Itong coordinates ito, no? So, how do we get that position vector? It is the difference between the coordinates of point A and the coordinates of point B. And that is equal to 2 minus 3, 1 minus -1, and -4 minus 3. Kaya lalabas, that is 2 minus 3i plus 1 minus -1 is 1 plus 1. And then -4 minus 3, k. So that when this is simplified, this becomes -i plus 2j. This is -7k. And so we already have the position vector. What about our F? We have taken our F a while ago, no? Nakuha natin that F is equal to, pakita ulit natin, that is 300 over the square root of 29 multiplied by -4i plus 2j plus 3k. Kaya kapag kinumpit natin yung moment of F about C, this time ang ating axis is at C, shall be equal to RCA cross F. And substituting the value, so I will have -i plus 2j minus 7k cross the quantity of 300 over the square root of 29 multiplied by -4i plus 2j plus 3k. Again, we use the third order determinant by factoring first the constant. This is constant, so we can factor this out first, then we try to write the determinant. That is the third order. So that the first row is the element of the first element of the first term, and that is equal to -1, 2, and -7. The second row will remain the same. The element of the second term, that is -4, 2, and 3, and the third will be I, J, and K. So again, we use the extended form. Piyahin lang natin itong dalawang column, and then we solve for I. So this becomes 300 over the square root of 29 multiplied by the quantity for I. I will be multiply natin yung pababa. That is 2 minus 2 times 3 will be 6, and 2 times -7 will be positive 14. So supposed to be that is negative of -14. Okay, for J we have -7 times -4 is positive 28 minus the quantity 3 minus 1 is positive 3. And for K, so you have -1 times 2 is -2, and minus -4 times 2 is K plus 8. And so when we simplify, this becomes equal to 300 over the square root of 29 times the quantity. This one is 20, while this one is 31, and this one will be positive 6. And so when we can now compute this one, is the expression of the moment of F about C in vector notation, where we can solve for its magnitude by using the formula. Magnitude is equal to 300 over the square root of 29 multiplied by the square root of 20 square plus 31 square plus 6 square, and that gives us the square root of 300 over the square root of 29 multiplied by 37.38. And then when this is simplified further, that becomes 2082.19. And again, that is positive, meaning it will be following the right hand thumb, that it will be creating a direction in that manner. And so let us now try to solve for the direction expressed in the angle that this makes with respect to the axes that are parallel to x, y, and z. So let us have it here. Okay? So solving now for the direction of the axis of rotation for theta sub x, that is equal to arc cosine of the x component of the moment. Actually, this comes from the product of 20 multiplied by 300 over the square root of 29. Actually, itong dalawa na ito, no? Divided by the magnitude. Ito yun. And so, 300 over the square root of 29 will cancel each other. Ang matira lang ay 20 over 37.38, and that gives us a value of 57.65. Whereas theta sub y is equal to arc cosine of this one, 31, divided by 37.38. And that gives us a value of 33.96. And then theta sub z is equal to arc cosine of 6 over 37.38, which is equal to 80.76. Kaya kung ipapakita natin yung resulta, yung moment effect of F about C, yan itong mangyayari. Yan, ipakita natin yung kanyang direction. Okay, this would be positive, and so where is it directed? It will be directed in that manner. Ano? So, what about those angle? Okay, and positive also, that means it will be turning in that direction. Okay, nakita yung direction niya. So, what about the angle? This angle, 65. Shall be what? The angle that this is making with respect to the z-axis. Balik ko lang, ano? Okay, balik lang natin para makita natin mabuti. So, the axis parallel to x, y, and z. So, mag-drawing tayo ng axis that are parallel to x, y, and z at point z. Ito yung mangyayari. Ayun. Diba? And so, this 57.65 is the angle that this will be making with respect to this axis. Ano? Ayun. Diba? And this 33.39 shall be the angle that this will be making with respect to this axis. Ito yun. And 80.76 will be making with respect to this axis. Yun. Ano? Kaya kapag makita natin, that is the answer now for the moment of F about a point that passes through C. Ngayon, puntahan natin yung third question. Medyo interesting itong third question kasi. Kasi sabi sa third question, find the moment of F about an axis passing through the origin and the point C. Ibig sabihin, ang axis of rotation is not simply a point but already defined. This time, an axis that's directed from 0 to O or to C. And that is what we mean an axis of specified direction, because the direction is specified as the point O towards point C. Yung moment daw ng force about an axis of specified direction, sabi dito, is the moment of the force about any point along the line projected along its direction. Medyo linawin lang natin, ano? So, ang hinahanap natin dito ay moment itong F about the line OC. Yung OC na yun, yung tinatawag nating line na kung saan iikot ngayon itong F. Diba? Kaya yung sinasabi nating about any point along the line is either O, meaning it is the moment of F about O, o kaya naman yung moment of F about C. And nagkataong siya na rin yung ating sinold kanina. Yung moment of F about O is already taken. Yung moment of F about C is already taken. Now, ano yung sinasabi dito kay moment of F about OC? Kapag ipo-project daw natin yung moment of F about O along this direction OC, diba? Yun yung moment ng F about OC. O kaya naman, kapag ipo-project natin yung moment ng F about C, which we have computed for the second part, along this direction of the OC, then that is the moment of F about the line OC. Ano? Kaya in symbol, we can write it here. Ano? Yung moment of F about OC is equal to the moment of F about O. Take note of this, O lang muna ito. It is actually at the axis through O. Multiplied using the dot product of the line OC. Sabihin ito, projecting along the direction of the line OC. Or we can also have the moment of F about C. That is also equal to the moment of F about C projected along the direction of the line OC. So take note that in this third question, we have already taken the moment of F about O as well as the moment of F about C. What we just need to do is to project that along the direction of this line OC, whose direction is expressed in terms of Kn. So ipakita natin itong direction na ito. Ito yung ating OC. Ayun yung ating OC, ano? Kaya yung kanyang direction is N of OC. So how are we going to solve for the direction of N of OC? Pakita natin ito. Now solving for the moment of F along OC using the computed. Take note, ipapakita natin dito yung dalawang solution para makita natin na kahit pala alin ang gamitin natin ay pareho ng lalabas na kasagutan. So ang gagamitin natin dito moment, yung moment ng F about O. Kaya yung moment of F about OC, sabi diyan, is equal to the moment of F multiplied by the direction of the OC. Ngayon, ano yung moment of F? Okay, nakumpita natin to kanina. That is 300 over the square root of 29 times 11i plus 10j plus 8k. Ngayon, ano itong N of OC? Ang N of OC naman, ito yon. Okay, the difference between the coordinates of C and O. And because O is just 0, it is just equal to the coordinates of C. That is C, 3i minus j, k plus 3k. So that is we have 3i minus j plus k, 3k divided by the distance between them. And that is equal to the square root of 3 plus negative 3 square plus negative 1 square plus 3 square. At ito kapag sinimplify natin ito, yan ay square root of 19, ano? Square root of 19. But we will just have it later on. Okay, kapag sinubstitute natin dito, so we have here, itong part na ito, yun yung ating moment of F about to. Samantalang itong bahagi ito naman, yun yung moment of, I'm sorry, that is the direction of the line OC. So that it is now a dot product. So let us have the computation. So I will take the constant. These two are constant. So I will have 3 over the square root of 29. Ito yon. Itong 19 na ito, galing dito. Galing dito yan. Ano? Okay, multiplied by the dot product of these two vectors. So I apply the property of the dot product. So ano lang matitira dito? Yung pareho ng k direction. That is equal to 11 multiplied by 3 and that gives us 33. 10 multiplied by negative 1, that gives us negative 10. And 8 multiplied by 3, that gives us 24. And if this will be simplified, that gives us a value of K 600.68 Newton meter. Positive. So ano ngayon ang ibig sabihin nun? Okay, kung ipapakita natin ito, dito yan, ang ibig sabihin ito, it will be following the right hand thumb principle. It will be rotating the way our fingers will be curled kapag ginamitan natin siya ng right hand thumb principle. So ano ibig sabihin? Ang ikot niya, iikot siya ng papaganyan, as following the right hand thumb rule. Okay, and the magnitude is 600.68. So tingnan natin ngayon, kapag ang ginamit naman natin ay yung moment of F about C. So this time gamitan natin yung moment of F about C using the formula. So yung moment of F about OC is equal to the moment of F about C projected along the direction of OC. Again, this moment is already taken. Nandun siya sa second part ng ating solution, So that is equal to 300 over the square root of 29 times 20i plus 31j plus 6k. At ito namang ating NOC, ganun din, We already have taken. And that is equal to, substitute natin dito. That is 3i minus j plus 3k doon sa moment of F about C. Kaya pag sinubstitute natin yung constant yan, so again, itong value natin ay 300 over the square root of 29 multiplied by 19 as this 19 comes from this element. Now, multiply natin yung dot product. So I will have 20 multiplied by 3 equals 60. 31 multiplied by negative 1 is 31, negative 31, and 6 multiplied by 3 is, I'm sorry, this must be 18. This is 18, So kapag sinimplify natin yan, that is also, 600.68 with the same direction as positive, so lalabas yan. Ganon din ang direction. Kaya yung direction ng moment about any specified direction will be the same. Take note, it is the projection of the moment of the force along its direction projected in the same direction as the direction of the line. Kaya sana guys ay naintindihan nyo mabuti, nasundan niyo yung ating discussion sa application ng principle of moments or sa application of moments of force system in space, particularly on the determination of the moment about an axis of specified direction. Kaya minsan pa guys, samahan niyo ako sa ating discussion na ito para nasusundan natin yung lahat ng ating topics sa statics of rigid bodies. Once again, I am inviting you to subscribe to this channel so that every time that there is a new upload, you will be notified of this. So thank you for watching.